Winter changes everything in the mountains. The world is blanketed with a thick layer of glistening snow, muffling sounds and creating a beautiful stillness. For many, the cold and challenging terrain is not a place they want to visit, and because of that, they say that winter is desert season. With its dry, sandy roads, the desert stays relatively accessible year-round. Warm days and cool nights are perfect for camping, and the winter is a welcome break from the scorching summer sun. And sure, the winter is a great time to head to the desert, but we wanted snow. We wanted that challenge, the added adventure, the unknown, and camaraderie of taking it on together. With the first large snowfall of the year on the forecast, we met up just outside of Boise, Idaho, ready to explore.
We've just reached the Arrow Rock Dam, about 25 minutes outside of Boise, where we are airing down, and I'm going to be airing down kind of low. I'm thinking around 10 psi, because even though you wouldn't know it now, we are expecting a lot of snow tonight and over the weekend. Right now it's beautiful, clear blue skies, the sun's out, it's actually kind of warm. It's supposed to be going down to around 0 degrees, and we're expecting some significant snowfall, which I'm really excited about because I don't really do much snow wheeling.
For the first leg of our trip, we were heading over 60 miles to Atlanta, Idaho, one of the most remote towns in the lower 48, sitting in the foothills of the Sawtooth Mountains. We started with 4 vehicles. Will was leading the way in his white Jeep Gladiator, I was second in the green Jeep Wrangler, David was third in the Ford Bronco, and finally, Nathan was following us all in his white Tundra.
This road along the edge of the dam is absolutely beautiful. This is, it's so close to Boise as well. You can just come up here, explore. It does feel a little sketchy in a couple of places, you know, on these corners, and some of the edges are very steep and a little washed out. It's one of those spots that you want to be paying attention. You know, you don't want to come across someone coming the other way at you. Thankfully, it's cold enough that you're not really going to see a lot of tourists this time of year. It's just people going to and from their homes in the hills. So not a lot of traffic. We are starting to hit a few patches of snow as we go up.
That black rock over there is pretty cool. Yeah, we don't typically get to see it.
Idaho has thousands of square miles of lava flows that have formed through millions of years of volcanic activity from a deep, hot plume within the Earth's mantle. This hotspot has sat stationary under the surface while the plates move across it, placing it under Yellowstone today. While the hotspot itself is gone, Idaho has been left with hundreds of hot springs, more than any other state in the US.
Let's pull in. Let's go take a look at this place.
So just stopped at this tiny town of Twin Springs, which has apparently a population of 4 people, but it has a few cabins around here and an entire little settlement that's based around the hot springs. There's also a cool little tourist attraction, I guess, where apparently there used to be a rattlesnake.
There's a rattlesnake tank in the corner right here, and you'd pull over and you'd put money in a jar and you stick your head to the glass, and when it struck at you, if you didn't flinch, then you'd get all the money in the jar. But the guy that died, so now there's just like a rattlesnake skin in there, I think, or a stuffed one.
Whoa, okay.
The bar of Twin Springs is full of quirky items from its unusual and varied 125-year history, but the main attraction is the hot springs.
That's so warm. Wow.
What do you think it's at?
I think it's like right around 102, if I had to guess.
The springs are also used to raise tilapia. They can't survive in cold temperatures, but the hot water allows them to thrive through the bitter Idaho winters. High temperatures also increase the ratio of males born, which grow faster than the females, making them better for raising for food. These cabins have underfloor heating from the hot springs, so it's really, really warm and cozy in there. I guess if we get really cold tonight, we know where we're coming back to.
It's pretty awesome. I really want to get into one of the hot springs right now. That sounds so nice, especially now that it's starting to snow.
Yep.
Such a cool spot. I'm so glad we stopped. Yeah, man, great suggestion, Nathan. This is really cool to learn a little bit more about this random, weird, peculiar, and awesome place. There's a hot springs over here to the left. You'll start seeing these all over the place along the river. You can see the steam coming off there.
We just stopped for lunch at the beautiful hot springs up there. I went up and stuck my hand in them, and I feel like that's a perfect temperature. It's like a really hot bath. So I'd love to go get in it. I don't know if I'd want to get out of it again, so that's the problem. But just gonna stop here, have my sandwiches, and we'll skip this one. Maybe there's a bunch more up the river. Maybe I'll get braver later on, but probably not. We continued winding our way along the Boise River, slowly climbing, getting deeper into the mountains. The snow was still patchy, with slushy spots along the road, but lingering mostly in the shaded valley floor and behind the trees. With the cold temperatures and a storm rolling through, we knew that it would be getting better.
Some boulders down here on the side of the road, but that shouldn't be a problem. So down there is one of those camp spots. It'll be the turnoff on the right up here.
I just love Idaho. You do have one?
I decided on this trip that I'd bring the Propex, which is a propane heater. It kind of works similar to the way the diesel heaters work in this heat exchanger. So you got combustion air in, combustion exhaust, and then the heat exchanger in the middle warms up the air here. So this brings air down from the tent. This sends hot air into the tent, and it produces some very hot air. Just a lot more reliable than a diesel heater. I don't have to worry about carrying diesel fuel either. So I'm going to use that tonight. If it gets as cold as they say it's going to get, and I'll probably be very warm up in that tent. Probably too hot. So it may be one of those things where I just kick it on for a bit just to warm up, snuggle down in my sleeping bag, and turn it on in the morning just when I get up. So we'll see. In the meantime, I'm going to layer up and then go join them by the fire. So David and Will are huge bourbon fans, so I decided to bring them some more stuff from Kentucky. We actually brought some Blantons. Did you bring it with you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So we got Blantons and Eagle Rare, but I also picked up some of this stuff for them. This is Kentucky Ale, but it's bourbon barrel Kentucky Ale. I usually like Kentucky Ale, but the bourbon barrel stuff is, I think it's disgusting. So I brought it for them to try.
He's really sold it, so we're excited to test it out. So the last time Rob gave me something to drink, it was Clamato juice on the Idaho BDR, and it was disgusting. So I'm hoping this is a, but you said it's gross. It's really good. How can you think this is gross? This is delicious. But do you like Clamato juice?
Oh no, I hate Clamato.
Oh, okay. I'm not a beer guy, but we'll see. Oh, dude, that's really good, actually.
You like that?
Yeah. Rob, your taste buds are just all over the place, my man.
Yep. Well, I know what to bring you guys next time I come around.
Blantons is fine. We can stick with Blantons. Yeah. Blantons, please.
While David, Will, and I settled into our campsite, Nathan headed off to soak in a hot spring and relax in his warm cabin where we'd be meeting him the next day. We ended up getting a decent sprinkling of snow down where we are last night. We got about 2 inches around us, but not a lot settled out where we're camped. I think we're actually sitting on a warm patch of ground. There's like a mildly warm spring just down from where we're camped. So I think the ground's a little warmer, which is why it didn't settle there. Ended up being plenty warm enough in the tent. Really didn't need the heater a whole lot other than to try and keep dry. These Go Fast tents are notorious for having really bad condensation buildup, and even with the heater going on and off all night long, I have a ton of condensation. So I've got the heater going now full blast to try and dry it off in there. This is where something like the iCamper shines, because the way they use the canvas is breathable and it makes it a really good 4-season tent. Or I think mine's more of a fair weather camper. You know, it's great, it's awesome because it's so light, but you don't really want to be using it in conditions like this. Well, it took us forever to get packed up this morning. Obviously I had to wait for the tent to dry out. It did thankfully dry out with the heater, but then all of us took a really long time packing the tents away because they were covered in ice and they're really, really cold. So obviously we had to get the ice off, and then our fingers froze and take breaks to warm them up again. But now we're all packed up and we're gonna head back out to the road and continue north into the mountains. We're gonna head up to a tiny little town called Atlanta.
The branches that we came through yesterday are so weighed down right now. Hold on. Wow, you know, it's scraping the sides of the Jeep, but it's so pretty to drive through this right now. I'm loving watching all the snow fall off the branches as the Bronco squeezes through.
We just pulled out from camp to the main road, and there are some very obvious large paw prints going right past where we were camping. Obviously fresh from last night because there are no tire tracks over them. So something came past us.
Oh, some kind of wild cat. I just don't know tracks enough to know, but these are fresh. So this animal was here last night for sure, or this morning.
Could be a bobcat, potentially.
The paw prints weren't the only thing that had appeared in the night. The entire landscape had changed, and continuing east, we entered a winter wonderland.
Coming up here to Barber Flats, which is where we cross over if we wanted to, like we did in the BDR from the Middle Fork to the South Fork. And there's that spot up there that's like we stopped there to have lunch, I think, on the BDR. It's like a perch lookout spot. We could try to get up there if we wanted to. Yeah, I think we should.
So there's a little offshoot from the road that we're taking that heads up into the hills. This is an offshoot I did like a year and a half ago in July that heads up to an amazing viewpoint in the hills. So I know it's worth going up to, but this time it's not July and there's lots of snow on the road. So far, I mean, we're going uphill. Doing great. Haven't lost traction at all. But it does also get steeper.
This is where it gets a little shelfy. How you doing back there, David? There's no way I'm backing down at this point.
This is a super sketchy looking washout on this ledge. I don't know if I want to do it. Let me get out and take a look. We'd come to a significant washout that had cut away a part of the road. This wasn't a problem with traction. To get by, we'd have to drive through it, leaning into a huge drop off the side of the shelf road.
Not feeling it?
Not feeling it, dude.
We just came to this washout on the road that wasn't here last time we came up here, and honestly, I'd do it in the dry, but I'd be uncomfortable. With it being snowy, really slippery, there's just no way. I'm not doing it. It'll just, you know, it might be one of those things that you can do, but I'm just not willing to. So we're gonna have to figure out how to get back down. David's first, and I think we've got room to turn around. We're gonna put some snow socks on the back to help with turning around, and hopefully do it that way. If not, we have to back down, and that's gonna suck.
The powdery snow had given us great traction on the way up, but backing down on the compacted snow was much more difficult. The socks gave extra traction to the back wheels, so we didn't have to worry about them sliding around and could correct with the front.
Wow, they really do help. There you go, that's it.
Tell me.
Will, what'd you think of the tire socks?
I thought, number one, I thought they look really good. They're really sharp, really attractive. No, honestly, I thought they were good. This snow is kind of wet underneath, so there's not a lot of good traction. And as I was trying to turn it around, it gave some good grip in the back to kind of get it up the side of the mountain a little bit. So I think they work. I'm not sure they're as good as chains, but they're good.
From an outside perspective, I agree 100%. Looked like they worked. Don't think they're as effective as chains, but they're definitely a lot lighter for the few times a year you use them. So I'll put a link to them in the description if that's something you are interested in.
I'd bought the socks for my 35-inch tires, so Will, with his 37s, couldn't fit them. The difference was immediately obvious, as he was sliding around a lot more.
I don't like it.
Let's put traction boards right there. You have some?
Yeah, good idea. I'll pull them out. Good idea. There's another spot like this down there that we're for sure gonna need traction boards.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just keep them out. Oh, yeah. That's not too bad. He's recording. Yeah, so these traction boards, Max Trax, can't go wrong, tried and true. And actually, you'll never believe this. I got these from a website called Revere Overland.com. It's not just a hotspot for the YouTube's most favorite overlander. It's also a place where you can buy stuff. And Rob was great. He shipped these to me right before a big trip in Nevada. Got them in time. And I've used them probably 15 times since then.
So you can see the downside to snow socks is the durability. Like I've already got little, not holes, but you can see where it's worn. So this is something you're going to get if you very, very rarely need chains, like me. I also plan on turning around. I'm going to see if I can turn around a little sooner and go forward through that last little sketchy section instead of backwards like everyone else. I've got the socks on the back, which actually definitely helped, having watched Will go down now with no socks.
While snow socks and snow chains both work well for traction in wet, compacted and icy snow, they each have their advantages and disadvantages. One advantage to the socks is that they're super easy to take off. I should have switched them to the front after turning around, but I completely forgot. By the time I made my way down, the trail had been compacted and slipped around on enough that it was really slick. I approached what had been a small and inconsequential washout on the way up, and immediately started slipping towards the edge.
Hey, when you get around there, can I have a spot to make sure I'm not sliding into this washout?
You back up?
I put some more traction boards down to help me stay out of the washout, once again completely ignoring the perfectly good snow socks on the back tires.
So traction boards, worth having.
He wants to get up higher. Just like that, yeah.
Yeah, you good? Your backs are about to straighten out a little. Backs are hitting.
I swear he went through that more easily than you did.
It's still, I bet you that wasn't fun. You didn't enjoy that.
This is the last sketchy part. And then we're down, and we're free, and I've decided no more ledge roads. Traction boards make a huge difference. I know people make fun of us for carrying them, but in something like this, you just can't beat them.
We were out. We made our way back down to the main road to continue along the river.
Cliff faces are gorgeous. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, this is one of my favorite spots.
This is the road we came along a year and a half ago, along the Idaho BDR, and it is absolutely incredible. Beautiful in the summer, but coming through here in the winter with all the snow, I feel like it's even better. The snow's been coming down quite a bit more up here, and there's probably about 6 to 10 inches of snow off to the side of the road. But the road has been plowed since last night. We're almost to Atlanta, and it's a small community, but this is their main road in and out of town. This is where the mail truck comes up to deliver their mail, so they maintain it throughout the winter, because otherwise they can't get in and out. We have just made it to Atlanta, our home in the Sawtooths. And Nathan has a cabin out here, so we're going to head over and visit him.
Atlanta was a mining town founded during the Civil War and was named after the Battle of Atlanta, where the Southern settlers incorrectly heard rumors of a Confederate victory. A lot of the town's residents leave for the winter, but there are an estimated 27 people who live there year-round. Apparently the bar opened up today. They don't usually do that in the winter, so I can't think of anything better to do than head down there for dinner. So that's where we're heading.
I'm excited. I'm super excited. Hopefully they got some good whiskey.
So there was no food, so I'm really hungry, but there was some great bourbon, right guys?
Excellent bourbon. And just, you can't beat the authenticity of a place like that. It wasn't open. It was just a local gathering that they let us come into reluctantly, but really cool people, really fun to talk about.
It was amazing to just hang out with the locals and really get the vibe of the place and what they all stand for. They're just genuine people. It was cool.
They also recommended a place to camp tonight down by some hot springs.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going to head. Once again, Nathan went off to stay in his cabin, but we were joined in our snowy campsite by Lance, who'd driven up from Boise in his Bronco to join us for a couple of nights.
I love the Smart Cap, and I don't think this is a knock on the Smart Cap at all, but these latches, which I love, get frozen, and so they don't actually open when it's, I don't think they were like tested in the Idaho winter, and so they get real frozen. They don't want to open again, which stinks when you just want to get your ladder out and like get into your tent.
It turns out that the doors weren't the only thing stuck. Will's ladder was also completely frozen up. We've made it out to a really secluded spot where we're going to be camping for the night, and this is a spot that was recommended to us by one of the locals at the bar earlier, and it's a really cool spot, but very snowy. Got like a foot to a foot and a half of snow out here, so I drove around a bunch to pack it down so we can walk around, and I've also set up the heater, and I'm going to be leaving this running all night. Two reasons. One, hopefully to help with the condensation buildup that I got in the Go Fast camper, and the other, you might see that hose that's going off to the side. Will is piggybacking off it, so we're splitting the heat because his Viva or whatever it is, diesel heater, is just not working for him. So I'm gonna go up and get into bed because it's already pretty late and we've got some cool stuff planned for tomorrow. Hopefully we stay warm tonight. Cold. It was a cold night last night, and the only thing that stopped my drinks from freezing is being in the fridge. The fridge is actually keeping our stuff warm. Everything else that wasn't is frozen. This year I've had a goal of reaching 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And last night, at some point while I was asleep, I finally hit that goal. So we've made it. I guess you guys, you can all unsubscribe now. I don't need you anymore. No, just kidding. Stick around, please. If you're not subscribed, I'd love to have you, and thank you guys for all helping me reach that goal by the end of the year. It is awesome. I'm really happy about it. We're gonna celebrate today, and I've got to make sure I don't let it get to my head. Bow down to me, peasants! How many subscribers do you plebeians have?
25,000, sir. 49,000, Your Excellency.
Maybe you should subscribe to them too.
Is that attention?
So sorry. He doesn't know what attention is.
I love it.
The boot on this side got water or snow in it or something, and overnight it froze. I think I was plowing snow into the camp site last night, so it's frozen up. Will has a buddy heater, so we're gonna put that on it for a little bit and try and get it to freeze or to thaw out.
The steering rack appears to be frozen up on David's Bronco. Like, he can't turn at all. He's been trying to thaw it using a torch and buddy heater, and has had no luck. So I think what we're gonna do is tow him back to town.
So I think the decision is to tow. It's gonna be a real sketchy, dicey tow because he can't move his front tires. So we're just gonna try to hopefully like slide him around the corners. But the good news is I packed my trusty Factor 55 recovery bag. This is a sawtooth bag, and it literally has everything we need in here. We've got soft shackles, we've got a tow strap, we've got a tree saver, we've got a little harness. So I think we can put this together in a way that works. And then the towing, we'll see how that goes, but at least we got the stuff to do it.
All right, well, I am ready.
When he was done, he just hits the brakes.
Oh, hey, that's doing it.
While we were thinking about what to do here, Jason, in his tracked side-by-side, showed up with a big propane heater. So we're going to try and heat it. That way, if we can defrost it enough to get it moving, he can drive out under his own power.
I'm not placing it. You can figure out how you want to do it.
After about 30 minutes of heating the steering components, David started the Bronco up to try again.
We got wheel turn.
On the wrong side.
So the plan now is to get this back to Nate's place. I'm gonna take the tie rods off, take the end cap off, really try and clean out the steering rack, get it dry, button it all back up, and hopefully I'll be good to go.
I just realized now that Rob has hit 100K subs, I can unsubscribe because it was a sympathy sub.
He finally got it defrosted. It's working. So now we're heading back into town, and it's time to go out on the tracked side-by-side, which I'm really excited for. If you're into the outdoor motorsports like this and you want to get away from everyone, come out here to Atlanta with this, just you and nature and tons of area to explore, check out the Greylock Lodge. because you can come out here and stay here, but you can also rent things like this, like side-by-sides, snowmobiles, dirt bikes, and take them out into the hills.
Okay, so Rob hit 100,000 subscribers, which we've kind of made light of, but it's a big deal.
Big dang deal.
Big deal.
We have this, we know this is his favorite bottle of bourbon, Eagle Rare, and we're gonna give it to him because it's a pretty awesome milestone.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's go.
Again? So we wanted to say congratulations.
Oh, snap!
We got you all the way from Kentucky. Had somebody smuggle it here. A bottle of Eagle Rare, which we know is your favorite bourbon. I asked Elizabeth
thank you.
at Overland Expo East.
Yeah.
I was like, what should I get him when he hits 100K? And she goes, give him a bottle of Eagle Rare.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Whoever sourced this for you must be a really great guy.
Honestly, congratulations, dude. Like, we're
Thank
super
you.
proud of you, man. That's really awesome.
So tonight is supposed to be 7 degrees, and we decided that we are going to brave it by staying in Nathan's cabin tonight. And I have no shame in saying that.
Real
But
mountain men here.
Will and Lance are going to be staying out and they're going to be camping, so I brought them my Propex heater. We're going to set that up so that at least they're, well, Will is comfortable.
It was very nice of you.
This is the best thing about these drawer systems. The SHW ones, like it's like a tote.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Just take the whole thing out. Usually it's useful for when you get home and you want to unpack. Yeah, it's useful here at camp. And it happens to be the perfect size for a Propex heater system.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, everything you need.
Beautiful.
Right there.
I'm not doing diesel anymore. I'm done. I never even started and I'm done.
The next morning, while the campers were packing up, David and I had no regrets, although David did still have some problems. Last night we slept in the warmth and comfort of Nathan's cabin, but David's Bronco was parked outside in the cold, and once again the boot or the steering rack, something in there has frozen up. So he's setting up the propane again to get it thawing while that is defrosting so he can actually steer and not have to just drive a straight line. We're gonna walk around town and go check out the old jail.
Okay, so over here we have the old jail, and actually this jail was used all the way up until the 70s because they had to use it kind of as a drunk tank from people fighting at the bars, the miners. So they'd fight at the bar, they get thrown in here overnight. I think we can get into the jail.
We're breaking into the jail?
Yeah, we're breaking into the jail, and the jail has very interesting toilets. You'll have to check this out.
The toilets that Nathan was talking about are 2 half barrels that simply sit over holes in the floor. The waste would drop straight out the bottom and into the creek. Thankfully these days, the waste from Atlanta is taken care of a little better.
I can only walk about 100 feet like this, and then my legs are tired.
And then this is just one of the old original log cabins from here. So this is like early, like mid 1800s.
The cabin was from Atlanta's busier days. In its peak in 1876, the town had a population of around 500 people who were employed in the surrounding mines and mills, or in the town's hotels, stores, bars, brewery, sawmill, or brickworks. There was a huge economic downturn between 1886 and 1902, followed by a series of short-lived revivals and collapses until 1985, when the Atlanta Preservation Society was formed to preserve and restore the historic structures. While we'd been exploring town, things had been defrosting on the Bronco. We just got back and it took a couple more minutes with the heater to get everything defrosted on David's Bronco, but it is now working. He can steer, and we're going to get out of here while we still can, before it all freezes up again. We later found out that the problem was with his aftermarket steering rack from Icon, which had been sent to him with missing parts. Thankfully it was a quick fix, and he'd be coming back out later.
trip. This drive for me, anything that happened before this was worth it for this drive right now. This drive has genuinely been my favorite part of this entire thing. It's so beautiful. I can't wrap my head around it.
As we're driving along the river, you see steam billowing up all along it from hot springs, and there's a big patch of them over the other side and a bridge right here, so we can actually go across and we walk down to one of them. But this is one of those side roads. Like most of the side roads along this river, this time of year it's closed to passenger vehicles. Like this is a snowmobile trail only, so we're gonna have to walk across and down to them.
Look how warm it is here. Oh, warming my feet up nicely.
Yeah, dude, it's hot. Like, I don't think I could put my full body in there.
This spot is awesome. It's so much warmer here. I mean, you can see it's steaming. This water's really hot, but I was saying I should have put my jacket on a few minutes ago, but standing here, I'm really comfortable because of the warmth coming off the ground here. There's also a huge green patch, which is obviously, you know, the ground up there is warm as well. So the grass is growing, it's not covered in snow. Tons of deer poop, so this is obviously where they come to graze. This would be the pool to hang out in. It's really nice, hot to the touch, like a really hot bath. What's crazy is just standing here on the ground, not even in the water, I can feel the heat of the ground coming through the soles of my boots. These are insulated boots that I've been wearing in the snow, and I can feel the warmth. This is an awesome spot.
Yeah, that's very hot. I think you could cook noodles.
more bald eagles on that rock down there. Just sitting there looking for fish.
I've never seen so many eagles in one spot as this reservoir. We've passed, we've seen 4 of them now, and 3 of them definitely bald eagles. One of them I couldn't tell through the lens or through the binoculars. Looked like it could have been a golden eagle, a juvenile, or maybe a juvenile bald eagle. But still really cool to see.
On the road back through Boise, we lost David, who was heading home to fix his steering issues. Will, Lance and I were joined by Chris in his newly lifted silver Jeep JKU, and we all headed north looking for more snow. The second leg of our winter trip took us up to the beautiful Salmon River, which is also known as the River of No Return. Back when the area was first explored, it was easy for boats to navigate downstream, but impossible to return due to its fast flow and numerous rapids. On our way along the river, we had our eyes on the snow line. We were hoping for some deep snow to offer us a challenge, just hopefully not too much since we'd like to return.
I love this green moss through this stretch on these rocks.
We could literally drive down there and camp on the sand.
So we have just got to the base of a thing called the French Creek Grade, which is a very intimidating series of switchbacks at the best of times. Might be even worse right now. Might be snowy at the top. We don't know. But figured it's a good place to stop and air down. Ready to head up there. And you might have noticed that I'm wearing one glove. We all are. And it's because of this stuff all down the side of the Jeep. The road's not like super sloppy, but it's just got a wet layer of mud on the top of it, which is spraying up the side of all of our vehicles. It's not nice getting in and out.
If this is a route that you're interested in taking, it's actually on Onyx already, so you can find it up here by the Salmon River.
If you're not already an Onyx Maps subscriber, I'll put a discount link in the description, and I'll also put a download link to the GPX tracks for this part of the trip. Subscribe to the channel and you can download it for free. The French Creek Grade climbs almost 1,000 feet in less than half a mile as the crow flies through a series of 5 switchbacks with a total ascent of just over 3,000 feet from the river to the top.
First little patch of snow.
finding ourselves sliding around a little bit on some of the snowy stuff. Thankfully, like I said, this is a pretty well maintained road, so it's not like it's leaning off towards the edge. It's not that sketchy, other than it's just a really long way down. We're getting into some snow now, and people have obviously traveled this before us, which means that it's possible, but also means they packed it down, and this stuff is pretty icy to the point where I'm slipping, standing on it and walking on it. So I put the snow socks on the front of the Jeep. They're kind of a light traction device for snow. They work really well, so I might as well use them.
She's a bit slick underneath us. Oh yeah, you're doing a lot of slipping.
It is amazing the difference these socks make, these tire socks in the snow. I'm not sliding around at all now.
Yeah, they're just like covered in snow.
They're sticking really good.
Is this the 100,000 subscriber bottle?
Yes, it is.
Nice. That you brought from Kentucky?
Yeah.
And then David and Will gave to you?
Yeah, Will had me buy it for him and then gave it to me as my 100,000 subscriber.
Cheers. Oh, you roasted.
Now that we're all packed up, we're going to continue heading south along the road behind me. Right now we're in about, I don't know, 3 inches of snow, so not a whole lot. But according to Will, it gets a lot deeper as we head up into the hills that way. We'll have to see how it goes. As we left camp, the sun was just making its way through the trees, glistening off the snow caught in the branches.
Oh, this is very winter wonderlandy in here. It's beautiful.
The weight of that snow was likely to cause us some problems.
Ooh, we got a downed tree up here. We might be able to just drive over it.
Here's the school bus.
What's it like in there, dude, in the winter?
Well, it's a lot like the summer, only colder. but I mean, really though, it's great being back here. You know, it's kind of reliving a little bit of the BDR trip that we did, and just seeing it like transformed by the snow. And yeah, this is really cool.
And it was me and Chris,
this guy,
and Rob, and we're all back with, unfortunately,
we made it to the bus. This is the one that we stopped off when we did the Idaho BDR. And when we were here last time, it was over 100 degrees, and we wanted to kind of rush videoing it so we could get back into the air conditioning, and I had my like cool seats going. This time it's, I don't know what, like 20 degrees or something.
Yeah.
There's a foot of snow on the ground, and we wanted to rush the filming so we can get back in our cars and get our heated seats going because it's really cold. But this is cool, you know, it's totally different, so it's cool coming back here and seeing this whole area in completely different light.
Looks like we have another downed tree, and this one will definitely be a problem, guys.
We'll use my tree strap and just pull it out, Will.
Seems like snow might not be the biggest issue we face coming up on this trail. Obviously not a lot of people come through here in the winter, and then the weight of snow on the trees is bringing them down. This is the second tree we've come across the road. This is the first one that's likely to be a problem.
So this tree just doesn't give us quite enough clearance, so I thought we should saw it because it goes down and is wedged in between some other trees. Lance thinks we should just try to pull it, and that something will snap and give way and not become a projectile through my windshield. Lance is very confident of this, so he's giving me like the Lance guarantee, safety guarantee, so I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
Cool. Should we place some bets?
Yeah. Like upon my death, like
we'll die.
So now you're thinking we should cut it?
Yeah, just the tip where it's overhang. I don't want to cut here because then you got to undercut because of the force coming down, because if you cut on top you'll have a pinch point. So if we just get off the side, cut it right where it's running into that tree, and then we'll be able to pull it and swing it around.
Look at this guy carrying the saw. Real mountain men carry handsaws.
Can I use it? Yeah, you can use it. Do you want to unfold it as well? You want me to set it up for you?
Yeah, you got all the mittens on. That's pretty cool. What do you guys? Is that like a, what brand is that? Like a Fiskars or?
Whatever it says on the side there.
What's the
yellow handle out first, I think.
It's a Boar 21.
Yep, like that. Yep, you got it. And then that goes all the way around and over.
Ooh, that's slick.
And look at that. This notch goes on the bottom there.
Locked and loaded. Yeah, what was your role?
I just want you guys to know that I was supervising, which is probably the most important role. You know, you wouldn't want this like sliding down the hill without you noticing. So I was keeping my eyes on. Basically saved your life.
Thanks for saving our lives, Rob.
Well, anytime.
Something we have learned is that snow changes depending on various factors that are likely to include altitude, slope, tree cover, and even the direction the hill is facing. There would be long stretches with no problems at all, and then parts where we'd start to dig down into lower layers of snow, making progress very slow. For some reason, anytime Will started to dig in, his bed, cap, and tent would shake violently.
Will, have you looked at your top? Is it fully secured? Because it's hopping all over the place.
We got another tree down. This one might be a much bigger problem, guys. There might be a chance we can get under it.
Maybe we can get under it? I don't know, boys.
That's deep. Alright. As long as we're okay with taking a scratch or two, I think we can maybe shave some of these and get under it.
Yeah, I think so. Just hopefully I don't get stuck in this ditch, but I think we can get through.
Yeah.
Literally everything about this spot is gorgeous.
One of the things that really helps me with the airing down low are the method bead grips that I've got on the Jeep. They have like an oversized safety hump that's really difficult for the bead to break over, and then they have like little barbs on there as well. So you can go down really low with methods. I actually know people who have let all of the air out like down to 0 psi and have stayed on. And the reason I bring them up is, well, first of all, because they're amazing, and second of all, because I have a discount I can share with you. So I'll put a link in the description. They'll get you 20% off those. Right now I'm at 15, and that's not nearly low enough. So I'm gonna go down to around like 7 or 8. After airing down to around 8 psi, we're able to cruise over the snow with no issues at all, right up until we came to a bend in the road where the snow was particularly deep. Will tried again and again to try and get up on top of the snow, even placing the traction boards as ramps to try and make it up onto one of the icy lower layers. So he's really struggling away behind me. What's happening is he keeps getting sucked down into the ditch off to his right, and it's really deep, like it's beyond knee deep snow down there. So we're using the traction boards to try and keep him high, but he's just slipping further and further down. Eventually, Will tried some brute force and ignorance. It didn't help much either.
45 minutes of going around a corner.
He went back to slowly inching forward a little at a time, finally making it out of the corner.
Will made it through, and he's making his way up the last hill now. Now we need to get 3 more vehicles around this little section. Hopefully now that he's basically flattened it all out, we should be able to get through pretty easily. All right, now it's my turn. Hopefully it's a little easier for me. I could have tried finesse and skill, but decided on power.
Yeah. Right there. Into the launching pad. Oh. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. There you go, Rob. Keep going, Rob. Keep going. Keep going.
All right, made it through. Will's ruts definitely made it easier. I was able to just fall. Like I didn't even turn the steering wheel. It just went straight, and the ruts took me where I needed to go.
I thought you were gonna do it in one.
Man, I had it.
By the time the rest of us had made it around the corner, Will had only gone another 100 feet or so. The snow had changed again, and he was making almost no progress, coming to a stop, backing up, and trying again, moving just a few feet at a time. It was decided that I should put the snow socks on again and try them out in deeper snow.
I'm gonna try some brute force and ignorance.
After several attempts bulldozing the deep snow ahead of me, I was through and continued up the slope easily.
Thanks for doing all this work for me, man. This is really easy.
Yeah, it is amazing how much easier it is to follow than it is to lead.
A lesson in life.
Things had gone well with the snow socks, with no stopping or backing up, until I rounded a corner and the snow changed again. I was making painfully slow progress. The snow had been compacted by snowmobiles, but the top layer was really dry and was not sticking to the socks at all. I was gaining just feet at a time.
We'll just put the chains on the Gladiator, so we'll see how he does as he comes up here and tries to pass me in the deep snow.
Well, I left you a nice wide passing spot, and since you got chains on, you should have no problem getting past me.
Even with the chains on and his extra ground clearance, Will struggled to pass me in the deep snow. But once he was free, he charged off up the hill.
Way back.
We'd made great progress, despite a few difficult spots, but when we reached the top of the hill, the snow was no longer compacted, and Will could barely move, making even less progress than I had. I was just about to suggest switching places when he got well and truly stuck.
Uh-oh, he might be stuck.
No, I'm stuck, man. I'm good and stuck.
So Will finally got stuck even with the chains, so I'm going to pull him back out with my snatch strap, and then we're going to stop here for lunch. And this is a good spot for us to turn around. There is, obviously the road does continue, but it continues for a few more miles, and then it reaches a snowmobile trail, which we can't take. So this is as good a spot as any to turn around. We've reached basically the top of the mountain. It's all just flat from here on out. But obviously it's even worse up here.
I'm ready when you are.
Alright, copy that. I'm going to try, I'll do a gentle pull to start with. I'm going to try a little more force this time.
I did it. Thank you, sir.
Walking around here is so difficult. Like most of the time you're right on top of the snow, but occasionally you drop right down to your knees. This is the problem with chains. They're great until they're not. And Will dug in very, very quickly and got stuck, and we actually had to do our only recovery of the trip so far when he was using chains. Will could not back up out of this. So I think chains have their place. We'll keep trying them. I've been impressed with how they've done, but we've got to be more careful about digging in. That's pretty significant. He's dug down to the dirt here.
After turning around, we were on our way back down, where we had gravity working with us and a set of grooved tracks to follow the whole way down.
Well, that was just plain fun coming down it. It's like a bobsled. Oh, that's glorious.
So we just made it back to camp. That took us, what, an hour?
Without having to struggle against the deep snow or stopping to film every few minutes, we'd made it back down in no time at all. The only thing left was the French Creek grade, and we'd be camping right at the bottom of it.
I feel like the camera just doesn't capture how steep of a drop-off it is on this road.
Back down on the Salmon River, we headed straight for the beach campsite that we'd passed the day before, knowing it would be a great spot to camp.
It is much warmer down here. It's 34 degrees now instead of 18.
We've just made it back down to the Salmon River, right on a little sandbar that you can camp on. And we've camped really close to here before. Last time we were here, when we did the Idaho BDR, we camped on a little spit of sand, or spit of land behind me that was sticking out, and there was no one else there. And then this sandbar was packed full. But obviously now, in the middle of winter, there's no one else here. No one's stupid enough to camp in winter.
You can't camp on a beach without a fire, and it's cold.
Fire and steak and bourbon.
Fire, steak, bourbon. That's all we're doing tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Starting
now.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is. Would you like some grilled asparagus?
This is an awesome campsite. I love that we're able to stay here. Obviously, this is one of the ones that you really can only stay at in the winter. And not long ago, while we were just sitting down by the edge of the shore, a bald eagle flew past us, which is why I'm shooting this on this ridiculous lens. So I'm vlogging from way over here, just in case it comes back, because I want to get it
So we're just about to pack up, and then we're gonna be heading back out and then south, and we're gonna try and get to Yellow Pine, which is another one of those spots that we went to on the Idaho BDR last year.
Guys, I got bad news. I just crashed my drone. I think I crashed it across the river.
Will just crashed his drone, and not only did he crash it, but he crashed it on the far side of the river that's really difficult to get to. He's got to go up over the top of some cliffs and then down to the tree that he crashed it in. Chris and I have the binoculars, and we're trying to find it because we don't actually know which tree it's in. Hopefully we can. You know, a crashed drone is not the end of the world because Will has insurance, it's covered. He'll just get a new one. However, the lost footage would suck because Will and I have been splitting the drone filming about half and half. So if he can't find it, that's half of our drone footage, half of this video gone. From our vantage point, Will and Lance were two tiny dots walking across a huge hillside. We could tell from our side of the river that it was steep and difficult to traverse. Not only that, but it was covered in thorny bushes that kept grabbing at their clothes. While they were searching on foot, we were looking too, but spotting a small flashing light in an unknown tree on the side of a large hill is not easy. It was actually in the last shot. Did you spot it? Can you see it now? How about now? Chris and I have spotted the drone, and it's in a really awkward spot. It's about halfway up the cliff behind me, in a kind of high up in a tall tree as well. And unfortunately, the only way for Will and Lance to get to it is to go way up to the top of the hill behind me and then come down. There is a possibility if they were to find a boat to rent, they might be able to get up from the bottom, but it is really steep and rocky. And there's just no way for them to come across in the middle because there's just these sheer cliffs. So unfortunately, they didn't take a radio with them, so we can't communicate with them clearly. So they're gonna come back, I think, and we'll let them figure out what they want to do. If they want to tackle it, go back over the top, or in a boat, or give up, which I hate to do. Here, plug it in.
It's working.
Oh, it is downloading them? So we've got the footage downloading onto the controller. Unfortunately, the drone only has about 40% battery left, so at some point it's gonna die before we get all of the footage, but at least we'll have something to throw in there, in and out. So, I mean, you've made it this far in the video. Hopefully it wasn't ruined by the lack of that footage. What we probably should have done is before sending Will and Lance up over there to go get it, we should have stopped here, found the drone. We would have seen that it's not really possible to get it, and we could have downloaded all of the footage and saved us a lot of effort. And I think we'll end up coming back out here another day and you know, either taking a boat across and going up from the bottom or hiking all the way across the top. But either way, there's no way he can get it from the tree as it stands, so I'll have to come back out here with a, I don't know, a long pole or a pole saw, something to grab it out of the tree. The recovery attempt and video download had taken hours, so long that by the time we were off the trail and down to McCall, it was dinner time, so we started looking for a place to camp.
That's all right.
We just got packed up, and unfortunately with all the delays we had yesterday, we are behind and we don't have time today to make it all the way out to Yellow Pine and back. So instead we're going to backtrack from where we are to McCall. We're going to get ourselves a nice breakfast in McCall. I'm pretty hungry. I'm thinking like pancakes, some kind of fried food. That sounds great to me. We're actually from here heading somewhere that's hopefully a little bit warmer. And I'm looking forward to that because I'm ready to get out of the cold now. We're back in Utah, which after the cold and snowy Idaho trips we've been taking this winter is a nice change. You might see I'm in a t-shirt. It is just barely t-shirt weather. It's kind of on the cool side. I think if the wind picked up at all, I'd be cold, but right now, sun's out, I'm comfortable. And David has joined me too in his recently fixed Bronco. And you might be able to see that the interstate is behind me. We've just come off I-70 and we're basically gonna be following I-70 parallel for a little bit. We actually cross under it 3 times before heading off down into the swell for what might be this Jeep's last trip. But it's gonna be a good one. We've got plenty of cool stuff and cool sights planned, so I'm looking forward to it. After a solid day of highway driving down from Idaho, it was good to be back off pavement again, especially with the sun shining and Utah's beautiful landscape surrounding us. When I said go under the highway earlier, it's basically a culvert. This is pretty cool.
Like this kind of road is what Broncos were made for.
The Broncos were made for every kind of road.
There's a fenced off section up there. I'm wondering what that's for.
Do you want to go check it out?
I thought you'd never ask.
We're just driving along, and on Onyx Maps,
saw something labeled Head of Sinbad. I looked up here and it's like fenced off. So I'm assuming there's something cool up here. So we've come up to investigate because we're nerds and we like to do things like that.
What? Oh, wow. That's cool. This one right here looks like an alien.
I should have known there'd be petroglyphs. Here, this part of Utah, anytime you see a cliff face like this, fenced off, you can guarantee it's petroglyphs. Like they're all over the place here. And these are some of the weirdest petroglyphs you'll see anywhere. Are the ones in Utah. Like these are weird alien figures. Well, that was a really cool stop that I wasn't expecting at all, and super weird petroglyphs too. I thought about camping there because it's 6 o'clock now and we're both really tired from driving all the way down here. But I think we're going to keep going for a little longer. We're about to head down into a canyon. It does go up to a really cool overlook. I think it'll be like 9 o'clock before we get there. So we'll see when we end up. I'm thinking probably canyon, just because I'm tired.
Got another culvert to go onto the interstate.
These are pretty cool. They're snug.
On our way out to the canyon, we passed a few patches of snow, but the trail, while damp, wasn't bad right up until we hit a sudden patch of really wet ground.
Okay, this is sloppy. I thought we were going to be in trouble for a second there.
Swayze Cabin, I've heard of that.
The San Rafael Swell has dozens of formations named after the Swayze brothers who used this area of Utah for ranching. In 1921, they got tired of sleeping in the caves in the area and built Swayze Cabin, which sits at the foot of a large cliff close to Broken Cross Tower. The cabin is well built and is in excellent condition despite over 100 years of cold winters and scorching summers, and even now still has a spot to tie up your horse.
So we made it Swayze Cabin, and it's the start of Eagle Canyon behind me. And I have a concern with going into Eagle Canyon. As we were coming across the flat area out here, we hit a really sloppy section, like just throwing us around all over the place and slung sand up all down the side of the vehicles. And I was just flying the drone down the canyon and it's covered in snow and it's super wet down there. And there are some sections that are a little kind of off camber on ledges. And I don't know, it might be really sketchy down there. It's definitely very snowy. So we need to talk, David.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anything like what we just went through, there was zero traction. Like we were just a passenger.
Look at the handle on this. Oh, so much sand.
That's the worst.
All right, we are going back the way we came. Unfortunately, that does mean going back through that super sloppy section. It makes a mess up the trucks. It drives out super fast up here. I think we just got really unlucky. And we're gonna head back over to the Petroglyph site because it was nice and dry over there, and it was a good little campsite. That's annoying because I really wanted to go down Eagle Canyon. It is a really cool canyon. Yuck, this is bad.
I think that was it, right? Just that one little patch?
Yeah, that was it.
And like a quarter of a mile further up, it's just completely dry.
We drove around the cliffs trying to find a slightly more secluded spot to camp, but every little side road was marked as closed. Eventually, we ended up back at the Petroglyphs.
All right, so an hour and a half later and we're back in exactly the same spot, just a little hungrier, a little more tired, and covered in tons of sand down the sides of our vehicles from that one little sloppy spot. But we learned we can't go that way tomorrow. We're gonna have to figure something else out. But I really like this spot, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with coming back here. It does mean tomorrow we need to figure out how to go a little further, a little faster, because we've got a lot of miles to cover. We've got to get down to Escalante by basically late Wednesday to meet up with Justin. Just sit here and watch you make the fire.
Sounds about right.
I think that's what happens when you go over 100,000 subs. I think that's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's probably what happens.
The peons make the fire.
Who am I gonna have when I hit 100? I plan on being
someone.
I plan on being such a bag that no one wants to hang out.
You already are.
If you'd like to be David's lackey, he's accepting applications over on his channel, Off the Grind. Go leave a comment on his latest video letting him know. That evening, as we sat by the fire, we witnessed a SpaceX Starlink satellite launch leave the weirdest trails in the sky.
Good morning. It was a chilly night last night. You can see there's frost on top of my tent, except for the one little spot where my feet were jammed against the end. But I did sleep really well all night long. But when I woke up this morning, the cold has killed my key fob. I keep getting the battery low warnings, but of course I ignore them. So now I can't get in my Jeep. And the backup method is right here under like an inch of concrete. So I'm gonna start digging that out so I can get into the Jeep and get my own camera out and get started with this morning. I'm gonna use my little duck knife. It is just
That's a bold move to use a knife.
But it's concrete, look at it.
It is, holy crap.
It's because I think it's frozen.
Literally just carving it off.
Yeah, just one little layer at a time. I did it! I guess it warmed up in my pocket enough so I don't have to carve my way in. Great success.
We definitely need to find a battery.
Yeah, we do. Like, let's. Do you think there's like a Walmart around the corner?
Probably, yeah, I would imagine.
lovely sound.
Yeah, it is. I like this shovel. It's a little big.
I do too, actually.
We were off, backtracking along the trails we'd come in the previous evening, back under the culverts, and to the spot that we'd aired down at. We had about 15 miles of interstate travel, so we aired back up again.
We were coming up to the bridge over the canyon that we were going to take last night.
Oh, dude, that would have been so cool.
I guess I'm not going to find anywhere that sells a battery for my key fob then.
Yeah, you're out of luck.
And we're airing down again. I actually did this particular trail last year with my friend Sean, and this one's a really good one to do in the winter because it is a really soft sand. So if it's wet and snowy, it's fine because the sand's actually more compact, makes it easier, and it also dries super quick. So if the snow has melted, we just have a nice soft sand to drive over. There were a few patches of snow in the shade under trees and bushes, but the trail was mostly dry. It wasn't long before we were passing under the beautiful yellow cliffs and enjoying the views that are all over this part of the swell.
Oh, this is really cool.
This is beautiful.
Last time I was in Utah, I talked about how I had to be careful where I stepped because I didn't want to like hurt the dirt. And I had someone making fun of me like, what do you mean it's bad for dirt to step on it? And it's because of this stuff. This is like a little microorganism that lives in the sand, and when you step on it, you kill it. It takes about 10 years for it to regrow to where you see it today. And this stuff, you can see how it's sticking up where it is. It's because it holds the sand together. So when you step on it and kill it, the sand can be washed away in erosion. So yes, it is bad for the dirt to step on it, but only where you see this stuff.
How much drier this is than the last time I came through here. It's like this area just drains so fast with the soft sand. Last time it was completely flooded.
This trail is fun, man. I'm enjoying it.
Do you want to go check out the mine?
The Copper Globe mine was worked between 1900 and 1905 and is made up of multiple horizontal and vertical shafts.
It'd be really cool to have like, you know, those glow sticks that you break.
And just throw one down?
Yeah, see how far it goes. We could throw a rock.
Not
far.
No.
Unfortunately, the mine seemed poorly managed, with a series of costly mistakes, including poor construction of the on-site smelter, which collapsed on its very first use. The mine also never actually produced any copper due to the poor quality of the ore, and as a result, never made any money. Today, there are multiple small buildings you can visit, several mine shafts, and a 75-foot long pile of firewood that was intended to fire the smelter.
This is a bed. Probably for seniors because there's some waterproofing on it.
Something's been eating this mattress.
Oh, those are rats for sure. Look at that.
That's really grim.
This feels diseased.
Well, this is a cool little mine, and you can tell this is a copper mine, not only because it's got copper in the name, but also because of the way it is. It has these tiny little green rocks everywhere scattered around it. So I'm assuming that color's from the copper.
From the mine, we continued south, heading towards an impressive overlook.
David has never been to Utah before, and we're about to approach one of those cliff edges that Utah is just famous for. It is an incredible overlook. So I've switched places with him. He's now leading, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he thinks of this viewpoint.
It's wild, man. Like, I can't even comprehend what I'm seeing. It's super cool to see all the different layers in the cliffs and kind of the erosion that happens. And then off in the distance, I have no idea what mountain range that is, but there's snow-capped mountains down there. It's wild.
This is such a cool spot. I've been here before, but still, it's still breathtaking, even a second time. And it's a perfect spot to stop and eat some lunch because I'm really hungry.
That's a view.
This view is pretty incredible. I want to take pictures, but every time I pull my like phone out or camera, it just doesn't capture it.
The road had followed a canyon down from the plateau. As we climbed out of it, we had the choice of continuing down into the valley or climbing along a slow and windy, yet scenic route. Despite having a lot of miles to cover before camp, we chose the scenic route.
Oh, this is really cool.
There's a horse off to the left of us. I guess it's a wild horse.
We had thoroughly enjoyed the detour along the longer scenic route. The views across the valley, the colourful hills, and wild horses had all been worth the extra time it took, but we had some miles to put in to get to camp. Once we were back on the main route, we were able to pick up the pace to try and get to camp before sunset.
I don't think I've ever seen water in here before.
That was nothing. I kind of expected that slop from yesterday, but that was easy. Those almost look like lava rocks. That formation ahead of us looks really cool. I was just looking at the map. We've made killer progress, dude. I think we're gonna make it.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll be there between 5 and 5:30.
I was really doubting it, just based on how little progress we made up until like 2 o'clock. I thought there was no way.
Yeah, I knew these roads would be faster, and actually I usually go faster on them, but now it's like surprise washouts and surprise slick parts, so I'm not.
This is an incredible spot. It's actually the second time I've been here, and it's no less impressive the second time. I came here about a year ago, and really wanted to camp up here last year, but we're here pretty early in the day. This time it's 5:30. It's camp time. We're actually not going to camp right on the end here because it's not very level. So David found a spot just back down there that we're going to go down to that a little more appropriate. But I'm looking forward to setting up here and kind of catching the sunset because, like I said last time I was here, there's just views. Like, it doesn't matter which way you look, there are incredible views, and no amount of filming does it justice because you just can't get everything in the shot. Like, this is just, it's panoramic here. Like, you need a 360 camera to see everything. But we'll do our best. Get some time lapses of the sunset going, get some drone footage as all the reds pop once the sun goes down. You know, should be good. As you can tell, I'm kind of geeking out about camera stuff right now. Backing down off this is not much fun. Like, I can't see the edge on my right. It's probably about car width away. And I mean, I can see the edge on that side, but it's still like, it feels uncomfortable. Even though I know I've got plenty of room. Like, you could probably pass, you probably get about like 4 vehicles side by side here, but it still feels sketchy. It's perfect. There's even a little fire ring right here. David's chocking his wheels. This video is sponsored by Onyx, which is the mapping app that we've been using to basically do every single stage of this route, from starting with the planning to sharing the folder that we planned out with people who joined us throughout this trip, as well as actually just navigating using CarPlay on the screen in the Jeep. And you can see on here that they have actually recently updated the maps. So they are much clearer, much easier to use. And they have a bunch of color-coded suggested trails, and those trails are color-coded based on difficulty. And pretty much everything that we've been doing is color-coded green, so it's easy because we're doing kind of more of the long-distance overland stuff. So it's super useful in the planning stages. But right now, we need to pack up, we need to get going. We're meeting up with a couple of people quite a bit further south, and we need to decide which way we're going to go as well. We have two alternatives that we planned. One goes up over the mountains, one goes down along the valley, and we're gonna get a little bit closer and make that call which way we decide to go.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Go for it.
I'm going.
Go then.
I'm waiting for you.
I'm ready to go. I'm waiting for you.
Which way are you going?
Straight.
Oh, I am too.
Just like the previous day's roads, most were dry and well maintained, allowing us to keep up a good pace. But we did hit another patch of very sloppy road that came out of nowhere.
Yuck.
Just like the patch early on, it was short-lived but made a huge mess on our vehicles.
It's gonna take so long to clean this thing. That rock is super cool looking.
So I've just come up to a creek, and they're not very common in this part of the desert. I'm a little worried. It looks like it's very silty, and it could be very muddy. Actually, it wasn't too bad. But you never know. As we've driven through the desert here, we've maybe hit, I think we've hit one patch of mud since we entered this part, and it was super slick, and it went on for like 30 feet maybe, but then it was fine. It's just like every now and then we hit a damn patch. So I've just reached the intersection where we've planned a split in the trail depending on the conditions in the mountains behind me, and I think it's pretty obvious what the choice is going to be. We were looking at the maps, and actually the road is open according to Onyx. That's one of the nice features about Onyx, is it shows you which roads are seasonally closed by graying them out, and the one up there is open. I don't think it's going to be possible. And we kind of figured that was going to be the case. Technically today is, I think it's the second day of spring. So we figured it's going to be snow covered up there. That goes over 9,000 feet. So we're heading south. It is 28 miles from here to the highway that we got to pick up, so we can go meet up with a couple other guys. And it kind of skirts through and around Cathedral Valley and Capitol Reef National Park.
Getting a better view of those mountains now with the snow, and I think we've made the right call.
That looks like a fairly deep washout there.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna do a different angle.
I'm really surprised by how much snow there is here on the valley floor.
There's a lot. I was also thinking if this is what it looks like at this elevation, we definitely made the right call. Really pretty through here with the snow, though.
Hoping this is as bad as it gets, because this is a north-facing slope.
Good thing is the traction actually isn't bad on this.
Yeah, this is very rocky, which helps a lot.
Ooh, we still got a lot of snow on here.
Unfortunately, we are probably going to be really late for our meetup point. We were supposed to be meeting at noon. It's currently 11:30, and we're still, I would guess, about an hour and a half away from our meeting point. So, sorry Justin, sorry Jevin. I guess the snowy roads just put us way back. But we are making up time now, making good progress. It's completely dry here. It's just as well it was dry, because we were heading into the beautiful bentonite hills. These vibrant hills are made up of soft layers of clay, which would be a nightmare to navigate if they were wet. Coming out of the hills, we reached a creek crossing where the water was unusually high and fast flowing.
Look at the color of this river.
Oh wow, yeah, that's the highest I've ever seen it.
We finally reached pavement an hour and a half later than planned, so aired up and started heading to our meetup point. We just stopped to fill up with gas and got a call from Justin, who is down in Escalante where we were planning on meeting and taking Smoky Mountain Road down towards Page. And he said that it's kind of a mess down there too. So we are going to do a little redirect, and rather than go up onto like the top where it is covered in clay on Smoky Mountain Road, we're going to head down to some more sandy areas.
State Route 24.
The new route had us driving through parts of Utah I've never been through before, and the whole way I was looking at the mountains and the maps to see what trails were around. We finally met up with them. We got Justin here in the Red Gladiator, then Jevin has joined us in the Black Gladiator, and we've met them at Belly of the Dragon in southern Utah. So we're about to enter the Belly of the Dragon.
All the names that are carved in kind of piss me off.
Look at those cool petroglyphs.
Well, this is a cool little side stop on the way to camp. It's actually just a culvert going under the road above us, but very popular one. So that was cool. It's a cool spot just to stop off for a few minutes, and now we're going to continue along the road that it's on and find a spot to camp for the night. The trail we were taking was the incredible Barracks Road close to Zion National Park. The trail was under the threat of closure due to a lawsuit against the BLM years ago by SUA that forced the BLM to focus more on the environment. Of course, there are several scapegoats, including YouTubers, but this lawsuit was started long before YouTube was a big thing. It doesn't matter who you blame, complaining about them doesn't help in the slightest. In fact, it makes things worse because it sets people with a common interest against one another. What does help is being a good steward of the public lands by clearing up after yourself and sticking to the road. You can look up details at treadlightly.org. If a trail near you is slated for closure, you can help save it by making specific comments to the land managers on why that particular trail is important to you. We just stumbled across this beautiful spot, sheltered in a little alcove in the cliff behind me, and just completely stumbled across this one by chance. We had a campsite that we stayed at before, it's like way further up, and we were heading up to that, and just happened to look up off to the side here and found this little loop that's perfect for us. But now it's dinner time. If you want to see fancy cooking, go watch Justin's video. He's over there doing, I don't know what. Here, I'll step out of the way.
I'm making a salad. You ever had one, Rob?
No.
Yeah, gross.
It's got green stuff in it. I'm out. If you don't want to see fancy cooking, stick around with my channel.
Also, that would have been nice. Yeah, Express would have been.
This morning we've got maybe half a mile to go before we hit a really sandy, steep hill climb, which could be difficult. It's been a very long time since I've done it, and the last time I did it I came down. I remember thinking, this is probably going to be impossible to climb. So we'll have to see how it looks when we get there. See what everyone thinks.
that sucks.
Oh!
And that drone almost took a bath.
We haven't quite reached the hill climb. Instead, we're at like a little obstacle that comes before it, that steep, soft sand. So we shouldn't have any problems here, but it's time to air down, and I'm gonna be airing way down. The Method bead grips I've got in the Jeep I could go down to like 4 or 5 PSI. I think I'm gonna go around probably a little bit higher than that, but they're great for holding the bead on the tire.
Anytime I publish a video like this, someone inevitably tells me I should have aired down more. So for the record, I was right around 7 PSI.
Alright, now to head up to the hard one.
That hill climb is looking nasty.
They say the camera never does an obstacle or hill justice, and this is no exception. The hill was just as daunting as I remembered.
Who's going first? I chickened out and I told Rob to go first.
Since I was first up, I decided to go and scout it out and decide which way I'd be going.
This hill, you look at it on the drone and you think it's steep. And then you get here and scout it out. It's insane.
It gets steeper.
Yeah, just that last little bit.
Oh my god.
What are you doing running up this? So we've got two options the way to come up. As we're looking at down here, if we take the left-hand path, it takes us up this slope here, off to my left right now, and that's rocky. So it's pretty steep, but it's rocky, so you can do it. If you take this path around the outside, then you have to go up this, which is really, really steep. It's even steeper than the rocky part there, and it's all just soft sand. So I really don't know which way is the best way to go. That's the way I came down when I was in the 4Runner, down the rocky part, and it starts off, it's sandy up at the very top, but it's a lot shallower. So it's probably a little easier to go that way. All right, so I am first up, and I'm gonna take the right-hand side. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was nervous about this. It's a pretty tough hill climb. All right, here goes. Didn't make it. Now I've got back down. I need more momentum. I think I lost it when it switched to 4th gear. So I'm gonna try again and lock it into 3rd. Third gear was the answer. 2nd, not good enough. 3rd gear, a little more momentum. All right, let's go watch everyone else do it now.
Just like me, Justin hadn't made it the first time. He'd had a weird axle tramping that had killed his momentum. Jevon was third and had by far the heaviest setup. I was expecting him to struggle. And he did. On his fourth attempt, he made it. Last up was David. A lot of people make the blanket statement that solid front axle is best for off-road, but for hill climbs on loose terrain, independent suspension rules. Obviously, a lot of skinny pedal helps too.
Yes! Suck it, Jeeps!
I regret walking halfway down for the footage. I'm sure those are really cool shots. Oh my god, this is steep. And because it's soft sand, so I'm walking twice as far because it's just slipping out from under me. I regret this. I'm just gonna wait here and admire the scenery for a little bit. Nothing to do with me being completely out of breath and about to die. It's just so pretty here. It's the only reason I've stopped.
Are you dead?
I'm dead. Well, like 70% dead.
Because you drove it and hiked it.
Drove it and hiked it. What an idiot.
I'm pretty sure your man card is being delivered promptly.
About time I got one. We just stopped at the top of the hill. It's a fantastic spot to eat lunch. Gives me a chance to rest, recover.
Alright, I'll see you guys at the bottom of the hill.
Incredible views across the valley, down the hill that we just came up. So now we're going to continue along and enjoy the sandy trail.
This is where Elizabeth drove off the edge.
Sketchy.
Metal Cloak Game Changer suspension has some stupid flex to it, which makes this kind of thing so much easier. Right about this tree on the right. I got it. I'm worried about Jevon coming through here. Like, I leaned a lot into those trees. He might not make it.
You're good, you're good. You're not gonna tilt over anymore, so you're good to keep going.
You sure?
Yeah.
Straighten out or turn into it?
Huh?
Straighten out or turn into it?
I would turn into it.
Dude, that's scary as hell.
That's gonna drop in a minute and then your back passenger's gonna bump up. Turn into it a little more.
I was just trying to avoid that tree, man.
Jeffen's gonna have fun through that.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was, you were super into it, but.
Wow. Turn my way. Yep. You're good. It's gonna drop. You're good. I can't see his tent. How's he doing? Perfect. Good. Straight through. Straight through. Straight through. That's it.
Well, that was really close. It's a good thing we put the traction boards down there. So it turns out a traction board's not just for traction.
Didn't seem close to me, but I wasn't looking.
It's on video. You'll see.
Okay. This is an early version of the MaxTrax pin rotator tool from justinbmcbride.com. Oh, RevereOverland.com. I'm sorry. I don't have a website like that.
That is a super early version. I think he got the first one of those MaxTrax pin tools that I had on RevereOverland.com. Now they got a nice black finish and they come with a little 10mm hex on the end, which means you'll probably lose them. I'm having so much fun on this trail. I love it with all these banked corners that you can just rip around here. Well, compared to like a side-by-side, we're going pretty slow, but I'm still having a blast.
Honestly, this is one of the most fun trails I've been on. I'm really enjoying this. The scenery doesn't hurt at all either.
From here, there are dozens of trails we could take in a local area, and I gave the guys some options. I suggested there's a slot canyon just off to the north. There's some cool overlooks over Page. However, they want to go to White Pocket, which I've done a bunch of times, but I am totally okay with going back to because it's really cool, and because Jevin has the new DJI FPV drone, and I kind of want to fly it around there. So we're airing up, got some highway miles to go before we hit the trail to White Pocket, and I'll see you over there.
When this opens up, it is one of my favorite views ever.
And we're airing down again, just for comfort this time. Nothing too difficult between here and White Pocket, but I want to get some speed up. It'd be nice to get there around sunset, and hopefully, just before sunset, give us time to get the best colors.
These washboards are miserable. Take me back to the whoops.
I much prefer the whoops, actually.
Thankfully, we're leaving this road soon.
Thank God, that was miserable.
It is such a relief to be off that washboard road and back into the soft sand. It was pretty miserable. Even aired down to, I was around 16 PSI. This is a lot more fun. I'll take this soft sand any day.
Alright, we've made it over to White Pocket, got set up in the little campsite nearby, and gonna head over, start hiking up to it, and hopefully the sun comes back out, because right now, without the sun on it, it's just, you know, it's a little bit colorful. But when the sun hits it, especially the sunset, it's brilliant red. So hopefully it comes out for these guys.
As we walked over, the sun did come back out again, but the clouds hung around, creating a spectacular sunset that kept getting better and better. I can't think of anywhere else in the world that I'd rather witness a sunset like this.
That's really cool. That's super cool.
Anytime I use that light behind me, I get comments asking about it. So that is the Divos Light Ranger. I'll put a link to it in the description as well. And if you use the code Revere on that, you get 10% off. It is probably one of my favorite pieces of equipment. I take it with me on every single trip. It's great for things like this, like hanging out around the campfire. Right now we're transferring footage from memory cards to laptops and sharing it with one another, ready for editing all of this fun stuff. And it's great for, you know, if you're cooking as well. So I love it, highly recommended. But now we're gonna go back to transferring more footage because there's a lot. Actually, right now I'm transferring the radio transmissions. So see you guys in the morning.
Another gate.
I'm liking being middle of the pack. It means I don't have to get out and do, you know, like manual labor.
After watching you climb that hill yesterday, some manual labor would do you good. Oh, I see some dino turds. Love turds.
Coming out from White Pocket, there are hundreds of different roads you can take, and this one is the one that I did 4 years ago when I did the Overland movie, and we didn't really know where we were going, but I love it because either side of the road are big old rock formations that look like giant dinosaur turds.
Must have been a whole herd of dinosaurs here.
So they say that winter is desert season, and to be fair, it is a lot easier getting around in the desert in winter. But I had so much fun in the snow that I think next year I'll be back out there. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge how ridiculous we look. Us three, we're all matching. We all got black shirt on, and then, you know, like green pants. Like, no wonder people make fun of us. But then there's Justin.
Hi.
Justin's different. Justin is, he's setting his own path here.
You know, I'm an influencer. Pretty soon, you guys will be wearing straw hats and Spider-Man shirts. It's happening.
The Spider-Man shirt is particularly suitable here, right? Because
it's the me.
We just noticed, like we noticed like 30 seconds ago, that this is what was going on, and we all just pointed at each other. If you enjoyed this video, as always, make sure you give it a thumbs up, leave a comment to help with the algorithm. Definitely subscribe to the channel, because I got a lot more like it coming out. Thanks for watching.